Hey scholars, so today I want to walk you through how to do these article a day sets. So today, if you'll notice, there are two readworks posted, and if you click on either one of them, it will take you to your readworks account, and then if you look at, these are the two that you should see, and you'll notice that they both say something. It says article a day set, right? So I just want to walk you through how we can use these article a day sets. So when you click into it, you should see a whole bunch of different articles that you get to choose, something that looks along the lines of this, right? And any one that you choose, they all have to do with this overall idea exploration, right? Exploring, trading between different countries, different groups, and colonization. Colonization meaning when Europeans came over to the Americas before they were the Americas, how they colonized or took over some of these places. Colonization has happened in many different places and throughout much of history. So, but in this particular case, we are talking about colonization of the Americas. So you have all of these different articles that you can choose. And if you notice, some of them are longer, some of them are a little bit shorter. So you sort of get to choose an article that works for you. What's the article that you would like to read? Do you want a challenge article that's going to be longer? Do you want an article that will be a little bit shorter, maybe a little easier to get through? Find a book, an article that works for you. And the idea is that you get to, and you can read more than one of these, of course, but each one of these has to do with exploration, trade, and colonization, just like in this article a day set, each one has to do with tensions and war between Native Americans and US settlers or colonizers, right? Um, and after you read an article, you get to, again, you choose the article that you want. Maybe for me, this one looks really interesting. The Invisible Guns, Disease and Native Americans. This one catches my attention. The title is really interesting. How are guns invisible? What does that mean? So I would read through this, um, and then when I'm done, what you do is you actually then write just a quick summary of what you learned. It can be any amount. You can just share a quick fact that you found interesting. So I'm going to read through this, and then at the end, I can't actually do this as the teacher, but you should see a place where you get to write in what is something that you learned from the article that you read this day, right? So I'll read through this. For a long time, Native Americans had lived completely isolated from the rest of the world. They had never been exposed to diseases such as measles, smallpox, and influenza, so they had no resistance to them. They had no vaccines and no medicines to fight these diseases. A Native American might visit a trading post and shake hands with a European who had one of these diseases. The European might become ill, but would probably recover because he had been exposed to the disease before. The Native American, however, would return to his tribe, fall ill, and, in all likelihood, infect other members of his tribe. Once a disease was introduced into a Native American village, people began dying. Sometimes 50 to 90% of the people would die. Worse, all the people would get sick at the same time. That meant there were few villagers left to hunt, tend crops, and nurse the sick. Smallpox hit Native Americans in the Northeast in 1633, causing a 95% death rate among some villages along the Connecticut River. 95% death rate means that out of every 100 people, 95 people would die. In 1620, the Huron numbered around 20,000 people. By 1640, disease had slashed that number in half. So 20,000 slashed in half would be 10,000. In the Pacific Northwest, diseases killed nearly 1 out of 3 Native Americans. Between 1780 and 1820, half of the Native Americans living in the northern Rockies died. The winter of 1839 to 1840 was especially devastating. It became known as the smallpox winter. Estimates say that 8,000 Blackfoot, 2,000 Pawnee, and 1,000 Crow died from smallpox that winter. For the most part, these infections were accidental and spread unknowingly. There was nothing anyone could have done about them. However, there were some exceptional cases in which Europeans used disease as a weapon against Native Americans. During a siege of a British fort in 1763, The fort's commander invited some of the Delaware, who had staged the attack, to a truce in order to talk peace. As a greeting, the commander presented the Delaware with a handkerchief and two blankets that he knew were infected with smallpox. During the next few months, hundreds of Delaware in the Ohio Valley died. So, after I read this, I get to write anything I want, any amount I want about what I learned from this, and that's what I submit. So, just to be clear, you don't have to read all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 articles. You choose one article, that's why it's called an article a day, and you read it and you choose what you would like to write about when you are done. All right, so I hope this clarifies some of what the confusion was around these article a day sets. And also, I hope that if you were not sure what to read, that you maybe choose the invisible guns. You just read along with me. Now you can write what you learned. All right. I love you all. I miss you, and I will hope to see you very, very soon.